So how did you transfer from not transfer, but how was the transition from school to BIM? I mean, school knowledge to BIM, because BIM is more like Revit and building information management. So did you take any other courses or?
So when I was in school, I remember I took there used to be an elective, I think it's called architectural visualization, where you could pick any software, but I picked Revit because I knew that in professional life, we had to use Revit as a designer or even to get a job. Because a lot of the firm, even though they are using AutoCAD, they are gradually getting out of AutoCAD and using Revit. So, so, so I did that one elective as a Revit where they made us do different projects in terms of like scheduling, doing a building a floor plan or elevations, even renderings. And then after that studio, I I trained myself to use Revit for my thesis studio and also some of the other projects. So that became like a learning process for me because I already took that as an elective. And even though I had better skills in SketchUp and AutoCAD, I prefer to choose Revit because I knew that it'll help me practice more. So as soon as I graduated, when I showed them that I had a skill in Revit and I did the projects in Revit, they immediately knew that, okay, I have certain skills and about all this BIM stuff, I actually learned after I get into the professional life because it's really tough to teach BIM in school because you don't really work with mechanical or electrical or plumbing people. So when you actually go out in the profession, then you get to see all the different models and then you work in a collaboration. So that's how I got interested in Revit. I mean, then when you go in professional lives, I mean, pretty much everyone use Revit model. So so you basically create your cloud Revit file where everybody uploads their own Revit model, and there's usually a BIM manager who controls all those data that's coming in and out. So if you are a BIM manager, you are supposed to be downloading all the Revit files that you receive from all the different trade, and then you link it in your file. You do the clash detection, you use Naviswork and all that kind of stuff, and then you usually hold like a weekly meetings where you generate the reports out of those class detections, and then let everyone know in the team. Basically, every team, like a mechanical, electrical, plumbing, architecture, subcontractor, everyone has one BIM manager who is coordinating all this out. So users respond or connect to those people and let them know, okay, hey, your file needs to be outdated, and you need to correct this file and everything. So once you download and then you make those corrections, you re-upload that back to the cloud. So everyone will get that information back into their model. And then they will make those revisions and then they'll resend you back. So that's how it works. So there's like one central file and then multiple individual files, and those get connected into one model and go back to their individual model. So it's really interesting how that works, but that's the main role of BIM manager, and that's how I'm trained or been doing it so far.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting because maybe it won't make sense for the people who are listening right now because you have to work into that
Right.
system and then
Yeah.
get used to with that. Even for me now, I'm working in this one project, and then we have BIM manager who is doing all this
Mm.
stuff. And then I told them that I'm also interested in doing BIM management thing, and then he sent me this one file about like how does that work and everything. And it was initially a little bit complicated for me to understand, but later I got a little bit of idea on that, like okay, this one model from this guy is connected
Yeah.
with this one, so they how they figured out the problems and stuff like that. So also I realized the BIM thing is uh, the whole thing of the I would say BIM standard. It also depends on the firm where you are working. So I guess it's more about like you learn from that place, not specifically from university
Yeah.
or anything like that. So what do you
Yeah,
think about
exactly.
that?
So every BIM manager have their own set of rules. Like, let's say you can't share files bigger than this, or your file needs to be certain. You need to remove certain sheets because we don't need them. And because when you start sharing files on cloud, it gets really heavy. over a gigabyte of file, and it takes forever to upload all those files. So that kind of small, there's actually a whole BIM guidebook where you where you generate all those rules and guidelines for other to
Mm.
establish those rules. So yeah, every firm has their own, but in general, they kind of have similar, I would say. Um, and then when you go through those guidelines, it just helps you create the same format, and then helps easy to read for the other users. That's a way to go.
Mm.
That's a good.
सो नेपालीमै फर्क्यौँ होला अब चाहिँ होइन
I hope he
अनि
got his answers, but if he has any,
I hope so. Otherwise, I will ask you
okay,
again about this and maybe let her contact
sure,
you about this
anytime.
thing.